Assalamu alaikum, family. I hope that you are enjoying our money psychology marathon so far um, and getting something out of it. The idea is to just start sparking thoughts. You don't even got to agree with 100% of what I say. Just start thinking. Just start thinking about it and opening up your awareness. If you like content like this, there's ways that you can support going across the bottom here. Um, there's a QR code right here where you can grab a copy of my new book. I want to read something to you this morning. And this is actually from this very powerful book, Closing the Gap, conducted and compiled by Muhammad, the angel Jibril Muhammad. And I want to take a moment, since we're kind of in the throes of the art and science of business, money psychology, just working through that stuff. I want to quote something very powerful from page 202 of the okay. Brother Jabril asks a question, and he says, for the whole answer, please read the article. So I'm just going to read the part that he has quoted here in the book. He says, Brother Minister, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that there were 3 scientific fields of knowledge that the slave master did not want the slaves to learn. What are those areas of knowledge, and what has that ignorance produced in us as a people? How does knowledge of music, medicine, and color help in overcoming ignorance? And Minister Farrakhan answers, the 3 sciences, as I recall, were number 1, the science of business, number 2, science of warfare, and number 3, science of mating. In the word business is B-U-S-I, and the I is interchangeable with Y, meaning busy. When a person is busy, they're active. So the science of business, the business is the science of life activity. Let me say that again. So the science of business is the science of the life activity. This is so powerful. The life activity that is dictated by the nature in which we're created is that we must utilize what God has given to us, develop it through knowledge, and use it with what God has already put here to become productive, to be producers. If you're just joining, I'm reading from Closing the Gap. I'm now on page 203, and this is in the wake of our money psychology marathon, our art and science of business theme here. If you want to grab a copy of the book, the QR code is there, and that's the cover of the book there. If you want to support, there's ways that you can support this kind of conduct and this movement that includes historic preservation, scrolling across the bottom. All right. The minister goes on to answer Brother Jabril's question. And he says, the science of business is the knowledge of how to satisfy the natural needs of a human being in the manner that pleases God. And if you all read my book, Art and Science of Business, that's all I'm talking about. How to satisfy our needs in a manner that pleases God. Business, the minister says, which takes, of course, into consideration the acquisition of wealth, the proper use of wealth, or the creation of wealth, the making of a product, the sale and distribution of what one makes. The creation means of satisfying necessities, food, clothing, shelter, trade, and commerce. All of this is really a science. When one does not know it, they are subjected to the one who knows it. We become their servant and, at worst, their slave. So if the enemy wanted to keep us as perpetual slaves, this then is a science that we were not to become familiar with, because that would free us from the state of dependence that a slave existence determines. Second, the minister goes on to say, is the science of warfare. One must know how to protect what one develops from an enemy. The science of warfare is a science that can free you from an enemy as well as protect you from an enemy. Since the enemy did not want us ever to be freed from them, nor able to protect ourselves from their wickedness, they never wanted us to learn the science of warfare. I got to say something about this, because if you've been following my timeline, my stories on Instagram, I've been posting some excerpts from some of the research that I'm doing history. Most of the buildings, they're saying, okay, they're all made in the late 1800s. I personally believe that these are conquered buildings. And the people that were there were conquered. They had advanced building architecture. I don't believe that the people riding around on horse and buggies and creating wooden houses made some of these magnificent limestone artifacts with ether antennas and copper conduits and intricate things. I believe that a lot of it was changed around that late 1800 era during the and celebrated by the world fairs that took place around the world. Who was there? I'm not sure yet. Who built these buildings? I'm not sure yet. There's a lot of theories out there. I'm not going to repeat them yet, but I'm doing some studying. And so when I think about the minister talking about the science of warfare here, what about the science of warfare did those people not understand? And why were their buildings taken over? Something to think about, and something for us to work on preventing. The third science, the minister goes on to say, is the science of mating. To know how to properly marry this or that in order to produce a better future. They learned how to produce great horses, pets, and how to do this with other life in the animal kingdom. This same science is applicable in the human sphere. He touched an angle where Caucasians used this knowledge among themselves in Europe. They did not wish for us to learn that science because that would mean that through proper mating, we might produce those that would free us from their grip. Ultimately, and challenge their rulership over us and over the planet. So these three basic sciences were not taught to us. And these are the sciences that Brother Jabril asked about in this book here, Closing the Gap: the science of business, the science of warfare, and the science of mating. He goes on to talk about a little bit more, and I'm going to read a little bit more. I hope that, walaikum salam, sis. I hope that you all are enjoying this marathon. We got about 10 more minutes we're going to be on, and then we're going to get ready for the next recording. And then after this, I'll be back on at 10:30. But now, he says, Minister Farrakhan, we were taught the science of music, but we were never taught how to marry the science of music to the science of life. We were taught the science of medicine, but we were taught it in a way that we could never relate it spiritually to the overall sick condition of even the doctor who learned it, and to the sick condition of our people, and to the sick condition of our world. We were in art courses that taught us the science of color, but we never learned how to apply it as a force for healing. It is truly after learning the wisdom of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that we could utilize these various sciences and turn these sciences into instruments of healing. It is only after coming into the light of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us of the knowledge of God and self, and of the enemy and self, and the true religion of God, that we could then go after the science of business, the science of warfare, and the science of mating. That we could never again be a slave to any man, dependent on other human beings for our food, clothing, and shelter, and the necessities of life, that we would become producers of this for ourselves. We thank Allah for his coming and giving to us such a masterful teacher as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The next question opened with, how now we come to all of these scientists from another angle, or I should say, from the ultimate perspective. Here is where we get into it, not just the explanation of all things, but the roots of this explanation. The fact that this has been explained is enough to tell us that God is present. And then Brother Jabril says, this was in 2002, September 13th, he says, visit www.writtentestimony.com and get my testimony to Minister Farrakhan's More Than a Vision experience of 9/17/85 and information on becoming a wholesaler of Is It Possible That the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Still Alive? That was the minister's take and the recounting of it in the book Closing the Gap, pages 202, 203, and part of 204. We talked about the science of business, the science of mating, and the science of warfare. So powerful, powerful stuff. So I hope you all are enjoying this today. If you don't have a copy of my new book, grab a copy. Again, support this kind of stuff. We've got some amazing things that we're working and planning on that will begin just at the beginning of the year. Right now, we're spending the end of the year just recalibrating ourselves, getting ready. Not necessarily going overboard with a whole lot of goals and all of that, which if that's your thing, that's cool too. We'll facilitate that. But the real deal is getting our mind right, recalibrating ourselves, sparking thought. And again, like I said, you don't have to agree with everything that I say here. You don't have to agree with everything I say in the book, as long as thought is being sparked and as long as you're thinking in a certain kind of way. So when we come back at 10:30, there's going to be another video that's going to start here at 9 a.m. Right now it's 8:53. So in 7 minutes, another video from our Money Psychology Marathon is going to start again. Dress code say, yes, I am enjoying the information you are sharing. All praises due to Allah. And I'm telling you all, if you're busy today, because a lot of us are, some of us are having guests over. And in between, for me, I'm in between these busy activities. I'm going to pop out here and talk to us, because what's important to me is that I help to share and spark some new thoughts, some new way of thinking. Again, you might be busy, pop in and out. We're going to be going till 6 p.m. with these videos and me popping in live. If you run across something that you don't agree with, don't just shut it down and go crazy and start becoming a binary thinker. Cherry pick what you think makes sense. Cherry pick what you like and what is good for your life. See, we have to learn how to take charge like that. We have to learn how to look at something and say, I agree with this, but I don't agree with that. I like this, but I don't understand that. And using those levels of discernment, figuring out what to do with the information that's coming to us. I talk about in my book how we have been reduced to binary thinking only. It's this or that. Is this a left wing or a right wing thought? Is this a Democratic thought or a Republican thought? Is it a Malcolm thought or a Martin Luther King thought? Is it a Prince thought or a Michael Jackson thought? Is it Biggie or Tupac? We're always being made to make these choices. And what I'm saying to you is that don't restrict yourself to those choices, because you don't have to make those types of hardcore choices. You can like both. You could say, my two favorite artists in the world are Prince and Michael Jackson, or my two favorite artists in the world are Biggie and Tupac, or Drake and Kendrick Lamar. You just might be in love with both of them, and that's okay. It's okay. You don't have to choose. The choosing benefits the people who own the content or who are trying to own the content. So when they get you to choose, they can then package you up, put you in a position where now they can sell you something else, or they can control you and say, well, you know what? Since you said that you agree with the Democrats on this, this, and this, then you better agree with the following. And that's not the case. You should be an issues-driven person where you are looking at issues. You can critically think. You can mathematically think. You can make a decision for yourself. Somebody could stand before you and 90% of what they say could be something so far out, something that you just can't understand. But there was 10%. There was one thing that they said. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine's children the other day. And I said, you know what? They made a lot of mistakes. But one thing they did do is they laid you at the doorstep of the Christ. So now you get up and do something for yourself. So sometimes we're not all the way right. Sometimes we don't get things 100% exact. But let's learn to pick the good, settle on the best part, and move forward from there. All right. So, okay, family, I'm going to let y'all go because you may need to go grab you something to drink, coffee, tea, or whatever before the next video comes on. It'll be on in 3 minutes. I'm going to jump off of here, and I will see you all, inshallah, God willing, at 10:30 after this next video. Okay. So may Allah bless each and every one of you. May Allah bless your finances. May He bless your businesses. May He bless your family today so that you now can line up and have access to more love, more goodness than you've ever received or imagined. And we'll see you in a few. And remember, it's not personal, it's vibrational.